on goings on of this month. So I was digging into your book, and I'm on the second time reading it actually, and it's quite enlightening for sure.
Okay, well, good. I'm happy to send you some books. A lot of thermographers, you can get them for like wholesale price and give them or sell them to your
Fantastic.
clients.
Excellent. Well, today I have 2 books for people, so we're going to do a draw today too at the end. So
Okay, good.
definitely an opportunity to get your book out there for sure. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So thank you again for joining us, but I do want to just take a minute. I know I've made lots of posts this week, but I just want to take a minute for people who are joining to just make sure that we do a proper introduction. So welcome everybody, and thank you for Dr. Véronique Desaulniers for being here today. And she's better known as Dr. V. She is the founder of Breast Cancer Conqueror and the 7 Essential System, and co-founder of My Breast Friend. Her signature process has empowered thousands of women in over 56 countries around the world, and her mission is to change lives one breast at a time. And Dr. V has personally conquered breast cancer twice, which gives her definitely an empathetic perspective in understanding other women facing a healing journey. The book that I was just speaking about is her signature book, Heal Breast Cancer Naturally. It is a #1 Amazon bestseller in 10 categories and in 5 countries. Dr. V has also spoken and has been featured around the world, especially on documentaries and platforms such as Truth About Cancer and Live Stages and many other summits and podcasts. And I must say that I truly enjoy your own podcast, Dr. V. I look forward to that every week. And when I'm traveling from clinic to clinic, that's my go-to. So I get to enjoy you and the wonderful people that you bring to your podcast. It's so very educational and certainly inspiring and motivational for me for sure. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me on your show, and thank you for everything that you're doing to empower women concerning their breast health and really supporting women. It's a huge feat, to accomplish what you're doing. So I really applaud you for that.
Well, thank you. So I will tell you, when I got started, I was in the corporate world for 19 years before I got started as a thermographer. So very high stress job, traveling all over the world, and had a breast health scare about 2.5, almost 3 years ago now. And which led me on a whole completely different journey. So certainly thermography was one of those aha moments when I needed answers myself that I couldn't get through our, medical system. And so it gave me the answers that I needed. But then as well, you've been a great source of inspiration and knowledge as well too. So I'll be honest with you, Dr. V, having you here today is just like Christmas for me. So
great. Well, I'm happy to be
But
here.
I really want to share with my viewers, right, what it is that you do and your story as well too. And I love, your pain to passion stories, and I know that you have that too. But before we jump into that, I would like to have you just explain to people kind of what your background is, because you are a bioenergetic chiropractor, right? And not many people would understand what that is. So we'll get started with that.
Okay, so yes, bioenergetic chiropractor is someone who would look at the body as a whole, not so much as just the spine to get people out of pain, but look at the whole mind, body, spirit, connection. And I was turned on to chiropractic at the age of 16, and it literally changed my life. And I knew that I wanted to bring wellness to the world, through chiropractic. And as my practice evolved over the years, it became much more wellness oriented. I mean, I started practicing in 1979, so a long time ago. And things were very different. Now we see, wellness is just a common word that even pharmacies are using now, so it's I'm so happy to see the transformation, the shift in people's awareness when it comes to natural health.
Yeah. It was quite interesting for me too. When I started this journey, I just assumed that everybody knew what, chiropractic, osteopathy, homeopathy, naturopathic medicines and practitioners did. Because I've been doing it myself for many, many years, and I just assumed everyone knew. So that was definitely one of the transitions that I've also been going through, was trying to help educate people the value in that for, mind, body, soul. Right. So it was quite interesting for me. But your journey with breast cancer, And again, your book is just absolutely phenomenal. I can't say enough great things about it. So I'm going to highly encourage people to get that. But you also share, your story in that book, and how you also, endured breast cancer, and maybe not so much in the traditional way. So I'd like to have you talk a little bit about that, Dr. B.
Sure. So 23 years into my practice, I'm getting ready for work. I'm in the shower. I'm doing a breast exam standing up, which is not the right way to do it, by the way. And, found that lump in my left breast that changed the course of my life forever, personally and professionally. And, when I was going through that process of understanding that I had breast cancer, I had to ask myself, how could somebody like me develop breast cancer? I thought I was doing everything right? Chiropractic, exercise, home births, breastfeeding. I mean, you name it, I did it all. And, I realized that there were pieces of the puzzle that I was missing. And I really had to go back to the roots. What allowed the cancer to show up in my body? Because we know cancer is just the symptom. It's just the tip of the iceberg. It's not the cause. And so as I was going through my journey, there were times when I was frustrated and confused and, a little bit of fear in the back of my mind. But I realized that if I covered all the bases, there would be no need for fear, because I knew my body had an amazing ability to heal. And so that's when I started developing the 7 Essential System. It's just, everything you need to cover in order to create vibrant health and to heal, whether it's breast cancer or MS or any other dis-ease in your body.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's interesting because they're also linked, right? We're talking today about breast cancer, but it's not just breast cancer. It's your 7 Essential System is for well-being in general, no matter what disease that you're facing, as far as I'm concerned. It's the foundation. And I love one of the quotes that you put in your book. You said, often the major healing you have to do is found between your ears and in your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we know, some of the work by, Dr. Joe Dispenza, and some of the, the proof that he's bringing toward, to it as well, too, for people to really understand the science behind it. It is what you take in here. It's not just through here what you're taking in, but it's here and in your heart as well, too. And the emotional impacts that get lodged in the body are oftentimes, some of the biggest challenges that we have as human beings to get through.
Absolutely. That's essential number 4, is to heal the emotional wounds. And that was a really big one, especially for my second healing journey, because I realized I had to, like Dr. Joe Dispenza says, if you keep doing the things you've always done, you're going to get the same results, right? Same thoughts, same reaction. And so I really had to change my way of thinking about myself, not only as, the breast cancer conqueror and what I was doing with women, but also myself as an individual. Who is Véronique? Who's that little girl inside of her that was never really nurtured, that was wounded, that was sexually abused, and really had to do a lot of deep healing, forgiving myself, forgiving others. And we know that, there's a connection there. Our cells retain all that energy, and it's important to release that energy, whether it's through tapping or EVOX or EMDR, or, whatever modality you use, but to really look at those emotional wounds and to really learn to calm your body down every single day. Because if you stay in the fight or flight mode every single day, your body cannot heal if it feels like it's being chased by a saber-toothed tiger. Yeah. You've got to bring in that parasympathetic calming response so that your body can do the work and do the healing.
Yeah. And that is so true. I mean, we live in a society, unfortunately, today that it's go, go, go. And, even for myself, and I share this with my clients as well, too. I mean, my journey is a daily journey as well, too, to remind myself to slow down after 19 years of being conditioned to multitask like there's nobody's business and jump on plane to plane and country to country. You develop this behavior that you're not successful if you're not go, 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 right? So it's a daily challenge to remind myself that, it's okay to step back and take a breath and breathe. and break those patterns. But you talk about too in you know, one of your podcasts and your book too, about heart math and EFT.
Mhm.
So I've been just researching heart math, and
Mm.
found a lady that does it around here as well too. So it's definitely something you know, that I want to bring to my clients. So do you want to talk a little bit about heart
Oh,
math?
yes, I love heart math, because you may think that you're meditating and that you're really calm, but your heart rate variability does not lie, right? Your heart rate, you know, they used to think that heart rate was just boom, 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 boom. But as they studied it, you know, Heart Math Institute, I mean, they've been studying the heart-brain connection for decades. You know, they realized that the heart talks to the brain more than the brain talks to the heart. The heart is 5,000 times more powerful magnetically, energetically than your brain.
Yeah.
And so if you can tap into that heart and learn to breathe through your heart, feelings of appreciation and love and gratitude, you know, all those higher frequencies, that you can literally change how your heart beats. And there's their little app, you know, it's a clip on your ear with an app on your phone. And as you meditate, you can see if you're in the red zone, the blue zone, or the green zone. And the green is where you want to be, is high coherence. Red is low coherence, and your nerve system is in fight or flight mode. So it's very, very helpful too. I mean, that changed my life. It changed how I could feel the difference in my body being in that parasympathetic, calm, high coherence mode.
It'd be very interesting to see, you know, I'm personally, I mean, I use myself as a guinea pig. So I'll do things like the Dutch testing, and I did epigenetics and stuff. And so what I did is, you know, as I'm going through it, I'm recording it and sharing it up with my followers as well too, because I want them to see. So, and I've got, you know, I want them to know that I'm right there with them, because we're all human beings, so we're all, you know,
learning.
We're all learning together. So I'm really interested in trying the heart math, because oftentimes I feel like I'm okay, I've got this, I'm calm. But you know, I know that I can give it a meditation, and then the monkey mind is just like, it's right there again. It's like, oh, the to-do list. So I know that I didn't go deep enough. So I'll be interested to see what the heart math shows when I start to really use it.
It's a challenge. It's a challenge at first. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's definitely, you know, what we're talking about today too. And, you know, Dr. V, it's one of the things that I have heard so much of in the last, you know, almost 2 years that I've been doing thermography, is women that have had breast cancer, right? And it's, you know, it's so sad, because what they talk about is, okay, Catherine, I have no idea, first of all, how I even got this. And as you know, we know that, you know, sometimes they say about genetics, and it's very low, you know, rate of that anyways, even if it was in your family. But they always, you know, talk to me about, it's, you know, you go through this process, you're told that you have it, and it's just go, 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 go. And it's appointment after appointment, you know, the breast removal or chemo or radiation and all these appointments. And then afterwards, when it's done, it's like you're left, like one woman said to me, she goes, I feel like I'm just left out to dry, and I'm on my own, and I have no idea where to go.
Mm-hmm.
What do I do?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, partly one of the reasons why I was so excited to have you on today, for multiple reasons, but that part is key, right? Is, you know, I don't know how to help them, but I do know that you have a system that's set up that does help women significantly. So do you want to talk just a little bit about, you know, what your platform is and what it is that you do?
Yes. So, you know, we have women coming to us on all different stages. Perhaps they've just been diagnosed and they're like deer in headlights, or like this woman, you know, who's past the journey, and, you know, whether she did traditional or you know, natural methods, you know, it's like, okay, now what? They're telling me I'm cancer free, but am I really? Is it going to come back? How do I know? And so we have coaching programs that, you know, we offer to women, different levels. There's group coaching, there's individual private coaching, 6 months, 1 year, whatever, you know, you feel you need. And we basically analyze their lifestyle based on the 7 essential system. You know, what is out of balance with essential number 1? You know, what kind of dietary changes do you need to make? Number 2 is to reduce your toxic exposure. Well, what kinds of things do you need to change in your household, the products, the things you put on your skin, your toothpaste, your hair, things, nail polish, all of that stuff. And, we teach women how to, detox and really cleanse their bodies. You want me to keep going on each essential?
Yeah.
Okay, so number 3 is balancing your energy, and that's where chiropractic, acupuncture, grounding, sleep, making sure your sleep is balanced, making sure your hormones are balanced. And I think it's very important to understand too, if we talk about hormones, that women understand that their hormones do not cause cancer. Conventional medicine has really vilified and demonized our hormones, so that we have breast cancer, boom, we're gonna put you on anti-hormone drugs because those hormones are causing the cancer. If that were the case, if that really was the case, then every 20-year-old on the planet would have cancer. It's not our hormones. It's perhaps our inability to properly break down and methylate our hormones.
Right.
Perhaps it's the exposure that the things that we're exposed to that mimic and stimulate estrogen, progesterone production in your body. So, the chemicals, the pesticides, herbicides, the things you put on your skin. Maybe you're constipated, maybe your liver's congested. All these things can contribute to that excessive estrogen in the body, but it's not your hormones that are causing the problem. Number 4, we talked about healing the emotional wounds. Number 5 is biological dentistry. What you have in your mouth is going to affect the rest of your body, because your teeth are connected to all your organs through the acupuncture meridian system. So if you have a hunk of metal or root canal, like on, number 14 up here is breast meridian, number 21, or forget the number here, there's going to be a connection there. Silver fillings are 50% mercury, and mercury is a metalloestrogen. It mimics and stimulates estrogen in the body. It's toxic. It's a neurotoxin. So work with a biological dentist who understands those things, who can make sure that your mouth is healthy and you don't have those toxins that are suppressing your immune system. And then let's see, number 6 is repairing your body with therapeutic plants and herbs. And that's, a whole other topic that we could talk about for hours. But these are all the questions that women have. What can I take to kill the cancer and improve my immune system? And so we have to really look at some basic things. Make sure you get the minerals like the zinc, the magnesium, selenium, vitamin D. Make sure your vitamin D levels are optimal, especially if you're living in the north, right, where you get so little sunlight most of the year. You've got to really supplement and test. You want to be between 80 and 100. Well, it may be different in Canadian values, but 80 to 100 NGs per ml is the goal. I know it's different in the Canadian metric version, but because that's going to reduce your risk for breast cancer, and it's going to improve your survival. Mm-hmm. And then lastly is number 7 is adopting very early detection, which is what you're doing with thermography. And we can talk about self-breast exams if you like, all kinds of things when it comes to early detection.
Yeah, then definitely I want to talk about my breast friend here in a few minutes for sure, okay, because I'm a big fan and I can't wait for mine to come in. So, but you touched on a couple of things before we move over to my breast friend, because there is a couple of questions I have with that. But you talked a little bit about the biological dentistry, and that is definitely something that I know I've talked a little bit about with my community. But certainly something that I've been educating myself on too, especially with Dr. Thomas Livy, who's done, a great job on, the root cause book, or the toxic tooth story. And then of course the documentary Root Cause, I share that as often as I can. But it's quite interesting when people don't realize the connection between your dental pathology and your organs, and of course your breast health, right? But all organs in general. It's just absolutely fascinating.
It is. And I'm living proof, and I see it all the time with thermograms. I'm sure you do too. And with, that's one of the questions that we ask them, and we always see 99% of the time there's a relationship. I mean, I had a cavitation an infection down here on the breast meridian, up here on the breast meridian, and I had the issues on the left side. So it's really fascinating how we're all connected that way.
Yeah,
Orally.
absolutely. And I mean, I know that there's a, direct correlation as well too, to even heart disease with your dental pathology. There's been lots of studies, done on that as well too. And the body as a whole, right? And I always tell people, it's just because you have one symptom doesn't mean that that's the root cause, because there's secondary issues that happen. So you got to find the root and then go to the root. And, I find, again, your book, I'm just going to hold check for everyone. Your book is absolutely a wealth of information. I actually shared with my sister. I said, this book is like going to school and taking a full course, but it's laid out so nicely that you can't wait to get to the next page, because you're like a little bit in suspense, because you're like, okay, I want to learn more. And of course, that's the researcher in me as well too, and wanting to help.
Right.
But at the same time, it's very easy to follow, but it does feel like you're getting a whole course in this book versus just, just little tidbits. It's a roadmap. That's what I tell them. It's an actual roadmap for you to understand at a deeper level. And one of the things that, it's difficult for women, especially when they have a diagnosis. And you've mentioned this before, is, where do you go? And of course you start Googling things, but everything is so scattered. And as you know, when you're doing research, you got to dig really deep in order to get the actual information. So again, for everybody that's here listening, do yourself a favor, get the book, Heal Breast Cancer Naturally. It's the 7 essential steps, because this will be a book that you will read over and over again. And again, it's not just for breast cancer. It's for your health and your well-being, mind, body, spirit. And so whatever disease that you're dealing with or whatever sickness you're dealing with, you're going to find great wealth of information in this book that'll be a roadmap for people to help move forward with. So I'll pause right there for a second. Can I just see if there's any questions here? Because I want to have questions. They certainly could.
So are we on Facebook? What are we on?
We're on Zoom, so we're recording it in Zoom, but plus we're also live on Facebook as well too.
Facebook. Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I got you going in all different kinds of places tonight. All right, so I just let everyone know in the chat room that they can ask questions. So I'm going to pivot a little bit, because I could just talk about your book all night long. But I also want to talk about My Breast Friend, because that is very exciting as well too. So instead of me talking about it, I'm going to be quiet and let you talk about My Breast Friend and how it came to be, and what women can expect.
So My Breast Friend is a silicone breast model that was originally designed by the Mammocare Foundation. And this was a group of scientists in the University of Florida who wanted to create a model that would allow clinicians, doctors, and nurses to be able to become much more sensitive and accurate in detecting lumps in women's breasts, because we know our breasts are lumpy anyway. So how can you find a lump? So they created this model. It's been tested over, it's been used by thousands of doctors over, the last 30 years. So the manufacturer of the model asked me to take this to the general public so women could then have access to this training so that they can become more efficient in doing a breast self-exam. Because even if you see your doctor once a year or you get screened thermography once a year, there's still 364 days of the year where your breast tissue can change. And we can actually, there's a kind of cancer called an interval cancer, which affects women between year 1 and year 2 of screening. And those cancers tend to be faster growing, more aggressive. So if you could find something, I'll show you in the box, the size of a pea, the average size lump that a woman finds when she's not trained in the breast exam is the size of a ping pong ball. As she gets more proficient, she can find something the size of a pea. And size matters when it comes to mortality, right? If it's 1 centimeter and it hasn't spread, your life expectancy is over 15 years at 88%. So, much better to find it small. And so this training system teaches you what to feel for, because you don't know what you're looking for. So these are actual nodules that were taken out of women's breasts. So you can, with the training, you go, oh, okay, that's what suspicious lump feels like. So what to feel for, where to feel. It's not just the breast, but you have to go up into the collarbone, the armpit, underneath, and on the sternum, the chest bone. And then how to feel, not with your fingertips, but with the pads of your fingers in little circles. And you have to do, when you're doing it, you're laying down and you're doing light, medium, and deep pressure all the way down to the chest wall, because you can see that little red one there hiding underneath the nipple. So you have to go all the way down into the chest wall. And so the training video walks you through that whole process. So you practice on the model, then you practice on your breast, and you keep doing it until you become proficient. And, if you are still cycling, you should check your breast every time at the end of your cycle. And then if you're postmenopausal, just pick a day, first Monday of the month or whatever it is, and make sure that you check your breast. And once you get proficient and comfortable, it may take you 10, 15 minutes at the most.
Right. And it's very interesting because in, doing thermography, one of the questions we ask, right, obviously is, do you do self-breast exams? And the common theme that I hear all the time is, no, why would I do that? I don't know what I'm feeling for. And if I did feel something and I don't know what it is, I'll be freaked out.
Exactly.
Right. So, and that, but it's so true because, growing up, my mom didn't teach me how to do breast self-exam. You didn't learn that in health class in school, even when they taught, sex education, which was not even, sex education in my view, but, no one talked about that. Right. So you didn't grow up, to your point, with understanding how to do that. So oftentimes we as women don't do it because for that same reason, I don't know what I'm feeling. And, I was in the same situation as well too. So I'm really looking forward to having my breast friend here at the clinic too, so I can start showing people, when they come in for their scans, like even if they want to be able to experience it and then maybe, get it for themselves or their daughters. I certainly know I have a 20-year-old daughter and I'll be buying her one of those as well too. But, early, I always love the slogan that they say, and this isn't a slight against the medical community, but it's, early detection saves lives. Well, I'm sorry, by the time you find it, it's not early detection.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not. I get very passionate about that one. It's not early detection. You've had it for anywhere between 6 to 10 years, depending on what study you look at.
Yeah.
And that doesn't give you the opportunity to course correct anything, in my opinion. So
totally.
So I really am looking forward to having my breast friend. And for those of you who are watching here tonight as well too, out on Dr. V's website, when you go to breastcancerconqueror.com, there is a tab there for my breast friend. You can follow that tab and you can order your very own. We will be getting hopefully a couple of them in here at the clinic here pretty soon. But at the same time, educating ourselves it's, I always say your health is in your own hands. It's not your doctor. Your doctor's not going home at night worrying about you. He's not going to bed or she going to bed thinking about how you're doing today and how your health is. That's just not how it works. Right. So I'm really looking forward to that. And thank you for sharing that with women. And it was interesting earlier on in the conversation, you had mentioned about no laying down for doing breast exam.
Or no standing up.
Or standing up, it has to be laying down. And that's new for me because I'll tell you again, when you go to Google and you look at what you're supposed to be doing, they tell you to stand in front of a mirror, right? Or in the shower. And that's what I've been doing as well too, is, standing in the shower and, thinking, okay, this is easier because it's, there's water and there's soap and I can really feel. So that was something new that I just really took note of today as well too, because it's not standing up.
No. And, you can do like standing up in front of the mirror is good just to do a visual check, or, you can hang over and, feel that way just as a, very general check. But to really get it right, you've got to lay down and get into certain positions and put a pillow underneath your back. And the instructional video goes through all of that. And it's really, really helpful to see. And it makes a world of difference in what you're actually feeling in your breast tissue.
It does. And it's so interesting too, because when you know what you're feeling for, like you said, you can detect it the size of a pea versus the ping pong size ball, right? Which is much more scarier for sure.
Yeah, and interestingly, there was a study done, it was a 23-year study done on women, and they were comparing mammography versus touch. And they found that mammograms found the lump 43% of the time. Women, either accidental or exam, found it 43% of the time. And then when you add the clinical exam to that, it brought it up to 56% of the time. So touch was actually more effective than a machine.
Yeah. And isn't that the same true for a lot of things, right? If we trust our intuition and we really know our bodies,
Yes,
we can read into that. So I'm looking forward to having my breast friend. So hopefully everyone here too will join in on the movement to healthy breast movement versus, and I've shared this as well too, because I am passionate about this, and it's more than just doing thermography for women as far as I'm concerned, right? It's ensuring that they have a safe place to come to, that, one, they can get their thermography done, but that we're surrounding ourselves with people such as yourself to help people go to the next level of their journey and understanding, where they can go to get those answers. It's not just a transaction, right? It's part of your journey. It's part of who you are. So again, I'm a huge fan, Dr. V. So,
well, thank you.
and again, some of your research too, that you've put in the book, that's what, that's in addition to everything else that you share, that I want people to know is that there's actual links in there to the research that you've done over, countless years, and scientific studies that were done as well too, to back up what it is that you're sharing with people.
Yes, that's very important for people to know. If it's important for me that people know that it is evidence-based natural medicine. It's not just things we're pulling out of the air, but there's, if you go to pubmed.org, it's the National Library of Medicine in the US, and well, I guess they publish from other countries as well, but you put anything in that search bar, breast cancer and vitamin C, breast cancer, vitamin D, or anything that you're curious about with breast cancer, and you'll see hundreds and hundreds of studies come up that, really give you confidence that what you're doing, when you keep your vitamin D levels up, you're confident that it's helping your body, or the vitamin C, or the, whatever it is that you're taking. There's so much evidence there to back up what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's so important for people, because unfortunately, there is a lot of fluff out there that you can read, or get access to, or have someone say, right? And I know it's usually with the best intentions, but there is a lot of fluff sometimes. And so again, your book helps people to get through the weeds of that and understand a really clear roadmap for that. So thank you. I'm trying to see, I've got the notes here everywhere. Your podcast, I want to share with everybody, you've got a podcast that you do weekly, and you bring in guests from all different walks of life. That's quite interesting as well too. And it's every Monday, correct? Every Monday?
Yeah.
Every
Published
Monday.
on Mondays.
Yeah, every Monday. So for those of you who are podcast watchers, please, feel free to get out there and enjoy Dr. V's podcast as well too. So I'm just going to pause for just a second and see if there's any questions out there. And if there are, for the people who are online, please feel free to pop it into the chat room if there's any questions for Dr. V. We've got a quiet group. Dr. V, I did see though, before we jumped on tonight, I will share it out too, but you want to talk a little bit about what's happening? I believe it is tomorrow or the next day, with the preview of boobs.
Oh, yes. So this is it's a documentary that Megan Smith did, and she interviewed doctors on both sides of the coin to, talk about mammography. And it's really well done. Yeah, we featured it a year or two ago, but we're doing it again. But definitely take a look at that, because if anybody's on the fence when it comes to mammography, there won't be any doubt in your mind after you watch this documentary. And she's actually working on a book too. And we just had a conversation today, and she was telling me that the research she's finding is that, for example, how radiation from the mammograms are actually increasing the growth of DCIS. ductal cell in situ carcinoma, right? And so it's really, I mean, it makes sense. Radiation causes cancer. So why would not the breast tissue be affected by the constant radiation compression? And even effects on the BRCA gene too. I mean, there's some studies that have showed that all that radiation, if you have, it can cause not a genetic, but it can cause a mutation in the BRCA gene, not a genetic one, but one that's caused by the radiation. So,
yeah. The podcast that you did with her, I don't know, it was probably a couple of months ago, maybe on this one. It was fantastic, the information that she shared in there. And when you go out to the nuclear website, right, and really dig into the levels of radiation that are present, it's quite shocking to understand what is scattered radiation versus very specific radiation that you get from having a mammogram. So the information that she shared was quite eye-opening. So I'll be interested to watch that, but I will definitely share that out with people as well too.
Yeah.
So there is a question, and the question is, so why do women have to rely on talks with each other? When will the medical community be on board, or will we always have to rely on each other and sift through Google information?
That's great. Yes. Why do we have to do this? It's, it's the nature of the beast right now, and it's the powers that be. And, at least there's women like us that are out there sharing this information to be able to, empower women. And, like I said, I've been in the wellness industry 40 some years, and I've seen a shift where, there's more and more awareness and understanding of what, disease and cancer is all about.
Yeah, because far too often, for many years, the thought is that, cancer appears, okay, you're sick, but you were sick long before the cancer arrived. It's just the outcome of what's happening in the terrain of the body, for sure.
Yeah, that's just the symptom. Everything else that allowed it to grow was, the poor diet, the stress, the inflammation, the toxins, all of that, it's allowed that cancer to show up. Because, cancer it's not rarely a genetic disease, right? 5% or less. And even then, I have clients who have the BRCA gene positive, and they're, they had breast cancer, but they've been, they've not been actively cancering for many, many years now. So it doesn't mean it's a death sentence. Lost my train of thought. What did I say before?
About that it's not like a death sentence, right?
Oh, right. And so, if you understand what cancer is and what it's not, so it's, it's a metabolic disease, it's an immune system disease, it's a mitochondrial disease, it's not a genetic disease, rarely. So you have a large measure of control on, reversing the cancer and healing the cancer. I mean, we have women who are stage 4 and, are sent home, get your affairs in order, and they refuse to give up. So they start a coaching program, and, they may still dabble a little bit in some conventional medicine to keep the flame, the cancer from being so aggressive. But then when they start applying all these principles, their bones heal, their lungs heal, they reverse the cancer. So it's, it is possible. I always say there's always hope, never, ever, ever give up. I don't care. Don't listen to those doctors and, what they're telling you about you have X amount of days or months to live. They don't know that. Yeah. Only you know that.
Yeah, that's right.
And can decide that. So.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. If, I always tell people you've been through a lot before. So if you look back on what you've been through before and you didn't think you were ever going to get through it, but you did because you're still here. But, a diagnosis is somebody else's opinion. It's not yours. It doesn't have to be yours. Yeah. So, yeah. So I don't see any other questions, Dr. V, and I'm going to ask if there's anything else that you wanted to share with us, because that kind of concludes some of my questions. I could keep you here for a while, but I won't.
Yeah, I think I'd like to end with, if you get that diagnosis, the first thing you should do is just stop and don't get on that conveyor belt right away. Because you mentioned, right, it's, one thing after another. but give yourself time. It's not like a heart attack. You're not going to die tomorrow. You've got plenty of time to do your research, to let that diagnosis sit in, your heart, and then, and start asking yourself questions. Why did this cancer show up? What am I going to learn from this? Do I believe my body can heal? What are the options that I have? And set out a plan and create a team of people that will support you. Your healing should not be a fight where you're, arguing with your doctor, or he's not supporting you, or your family's against you. You want to surround yourself with people that are going to support your decisions, and just stay calm about it. That's the best thing you could do for yourself, because you can heal.
Yeah, that's where heart math comes in.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And certainly not to downplay, the effects of getting that diagnosis. I don't know, Dr. V, because I haven't gotten one, right? I had a breast scare that scared me to death, right? It was very traumatic just in that alone. So I can't even imagine what it feels like to get that. But I do know, based on the women that share their heart and soul with me, it's like a PTSD response. It absolutely is.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, we've got one more quick question here, I think. Sorry. No, she raised her hand. Julie, do you want to just type in the chat room or the Q&A before we let Dr. V go here? Maybe she hit it by accident too, Dr. V.
Okay.
In any event, I really appreciate the time that you've taken tonight to be with us here on the East Coast of Canada. So we really appreciate you, and I really appreciate the work that you do to help support all of us women, and not just us women, but our men as well too, because it impacts everybody. So, and our children. So I thank you very, very much, and my heart goes out to you and all of your listeners as well too. And thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for sharing my message of hope with your community as well.
Thank you, Dr. B. Bye for now.